how do you get the common person to realize, the ethics of all of this? I mean, with the explosion of technology has come an explosion of inequality. And Dr. Brunstetter, I know that you have written about this and talked a lot about this. How do you get people to not be afraid to welcome in, collective bargaining in the light of technology?
I think she's asking that's for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would feel pretty uncomfortable in a room like this where I'm surrounded by experts in organizing and outreach to offer up my opinion, which would be, kind of an amateur's view.
Yeah, but sometimes that's helpful.
Yeah, well, can I actually flip the question and address, something that Gabrielle Carteris brought up, which I think is really central. This notion that technology has to be something that uplifts people, especially working people. Right? And I'm not going to pretend that I know how to realize this opportunity. That, in a lot of ways, is up to the people in this room. But I want to describe a technological opportunity that I think really does present us with some real potential for doing that. And that's the potential revolution in the technology of education and skill formation that I think we're on the cusp of. Right? So let me just give you a little bit of context. Right? Lewis went back to the 60s. I'm going to go back to the 80s. Back in the 80s, a learning science pioneer named Ben Bloom did this amazing experiment where he took a bunch of people studying standard high school subjects, the kind of stuff we all studied in high school, and he divided them into two groups in which they were taught very differently. The control group was taught in a standard classroom setting. The treatment group was taught in a setting where every student got an individual instructor. And then all these students took a common test of subject matter mastery, and the results were astounding. Right? The group that got the personalized instruction scored on average 2 standard deviations better on these tests than the group in conventional classroom instruction. Now, for all those of you who've taken a stats class, that means that the average student in the treatment group did better than 98% of the students in the control group. And it wasn't just that the brightest students got the boost from this specialized and personalized instruction. It was the opposite. Right? The brightest students managed to learn the stuff no matter how well or how poorly they were taught. Everybody else got a huge boost in their skill formation from instruction that was responsive to their learning style, responsive to what they were getting and not getting. Right? Now, the end of this experiment left Ben Bloom profoundly depressed because he'd figured out a way to dramatically increase human skill formation, but there was no way with the pedagogical technology of the 1980s that we could provide personalized instruction at scale at a politically feasible cost. Now fast forward to the 2010s. We've got AI-driven adaptive learning systems that can start to do this. Right? We've got cognitive tutors for math that we're deploying in schools around the country that give students problems figured out on the basis of the mistakes students make, what they don't know, and then gives them personalized instruction in that subject matter until they achieve mastery, and then moves them on to the next logical thing. Now, this is never going to replace a human instructor because no machine can ever replace the ability of a human relationship to inspire and encourage and hold students accountable to what they're capable of doing. So we're not going to get teachers out of the classroom, nor do we want to. But what we've got now is a technology that can amplify and magnify the ability of the teacher to address the individual learning needs of every student. Okay, so in randomized controlled trials, this technology has doubled the rate of math learning. Right? I invite you to just imagine for a minute what could happen for the future of working people in this country if we could double the amount of actual learning that takes place in the K through 12 grades. If the average high school graduate emerged with the same amount of education as the average postgraduate learner in the United States. I mean, this would completely upend some of the forces that have been driving increased income inequality in this country. So this technology is emerging. I have no faith whatsoever that its potential is going to be fully realized if you don't get engaged, okay? But if you do, and if this technology can be put at the disposal of working people, then we could have a revolution in skill formation in this country. We can make American education great again.
It's interesting when you think about the membership of SAG-AFTRA. If you're in front of a camera or behind a microphone, so that also includes recording artists, broadcasters, as well as performers, et cetera, then you either are or should be a member of our family. That's kind of the way that we think about that. And the first thing that we have to do is to understand it. In 2008, when new media, as we called it, was introduced, nobody understood it. And so we had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what are the implications that we are going to face and what does it actually mean at a granular level for working folks, which is, again, it underscores the significance of a forum like this. The second thing is, it's got to be infused with values. So, Lee, I appreciated what you just said, and I appreciate, and what resonated with me was the latter half of your comments. In the first part of your comments, that was a showcase of great love for the technology, right? So that your comments it made me understand that you're very excited about this technology, and as a father of a 10-year-old, I'm grateful that the technology may be there because she needs a lot of help, except from her dad. But it's the second part of those comments that reflect what is needed, which is one, just understanding that you have to have people integrated with, overseeing, engaged with the technology in order for it to work and for the benefits to accrue, as well as the problems. But also, there is needed, and we don't currently have a forum for it, I don't believe, a synthesis of understanding. In other words, nationwide, we should be talking about technology in a bigger sense, talking about this is coming, this is here. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree that this is simply the fourth revolution of technology. I mean, I'd love to debate that a little bit, because I think this is actually different than the Industrial Revolution. I think it's actually a little different than the information age in terms of what technology is now allow us doing to society in terms of predictive behavior and shaping behavior. I think that's different than what was happening in the past. But regardless, we should be talking about the opportunities like what Lee is talking about, what others are talking about, and then be on the forefront of saying this must actually reflect the values that made this country what it is and will take us to the place where we think it can take us, and once again sort of show leadership in that. And so for SAG-AFTRA, we have worked with a number of other unions throughout the industry. We have worked with allies and partners, and frankly, we've worked with companies in order to understand it, to articulate those values, to make sure that there is a counterweight to the excitement about technology, and to make sure that the voice of working people are involved in that process.
I mean, listen, we're not going to be, crazy and we're going to stop technology. By the way, I have a different opinion about AB 5. I'm familiar with that bill. We don't need new forms of organization. We need unions to organize. I mean, that's the bottom line. There's not enough organizing going on in this country. I mean, whether in the technology field, it's ridiculous. It's growing, just like healthcare. We should be organizing. Workers are begging for it. Unions have the highest approval ratings in my lifetime. Everybody knows they're getting screwed. They know that. I mean, it's not like income inequality is a new thing. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And who's going to prosper from the technology? It's not going to be workers until we rip it out of the hands of the boss. That might sound old school, but that's the fact. They never give it up. You got to take it from them. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think technology on one hand is great. I mean, we have language now about safety buttons. So if a housekeeper goes into a room and there's a problem, we have the technology to deal with that. I think technology is great that everybody is a camera person now. So when we see the police going after African Americans, you and I can film it. So all of a sudden that might change their behavior. So I think technology is great. On the other hand, technology is a real challenge just in our industry. Whether we all have an app now, whether you're Hilton Honors or Bonvoy or whatever, you can check into your room, pick your room, and go to your room without having to talk to anybody. That means the front desk is eliminated. There are now cleaning machines just done automatically. I've seen it, firsthand. I mean, DoorDash, and we talk about Uber. I mean, Uber had a major effect on the income of bellmen. And what I mean by that, people who generally take Uber, they don't deal with the bellmen, they don't deal with the doormen, so they're not getting those tips either. It's kind of like the residuals that you were talking about. I'm glad you told me about Disney. I was about to get Disney because I like Star Wars, and I'll bag that. So
No.
I'll do my part.
Let's talk later. I'm not
okay, all
saying
right.
don't give them your money. Some of that
All
money's
right.
coming to us.
All right. Yeah, we deal with Disney too. So I think what's going on here on technology too in our industry is what will the public tolerate? I mean, it's kind of like the airline industry. That used to be glamorous. Flying sucks now unless you get upgraded because it's like you get a bag of peanuts, maybe a soda, and that's it. I remember flying, because I'm old enough to remember, oh yeah, you got a meal, you were treated nice. That's all gone. I think it's the same thing in our industry. And the bottom line, I think with technology is with the workforce we represent, is that we want to have a bigger impact. I mean, we just passed statewide in both New Jersey and Illinois safety buttons for housekeepers. Now, we don't represent people in a small Motel 6 in Newark or in Hackensack or in, downstate in Illinois, but they're going to get the benefit of that. But I do want to go back to this idea of how we change the dialogue, and I think that the labor movement has failed in taking the opportunity and organizing in a big way like the folks did in the CIO. I have a saying I got from my daughter when she was like 10 years old. All of a sudden we're on the ski lift, and I'm like, great, it's a double black diamond. And, I'm old, I can't do a double black diamond. She looked at me, she goes, Dad, go big or go home. I think the same thing with the labor movement. We've got to figure out how to go much bigger. And I think we can't be afraid of losing. We're so afraid of losing, we don't take the risk of winning. And the labor movement was not built on just victories, they were built on a lot of losses. We talk about the UAW like, oh, they just rolled along. They had so many failures. I mean, we talk just, the 50th anniversary last year of the assassination of Dr. King, that garbage strike was a complete failure 3 years previously. We have got to go big in the technology industry because, and I'll end with this, there's something going on in this country that I don't think we've grasped overall. I have two young adult daughters, and a few years ago I asked them, what do your friends think of the labor movement? They go, they don't think much of the labor movement. It's all about social justice, et cetera. That's completely changed. Because unless you're in finance or technology as a young person, your job prospects suck. And we've got to fill that. And frankly, it's not in technology and in finance, every job can be replaced. That's just how I view it now. And we got to take advantage of that. We got to be bold. We got to be aggressive. We got to take some lumps. And as I always say, even Michael Jordan missed a few shots, but he was kept on taking the shots. That's what we got to do.